All right, this is Coach McCarthy. Hopefully, you're having a good day so far. We're talking about promotion 1 through 10. We talked about what promotion is. I think we defined it pretty well. Then we talked about that there are different stages in the product life cycles we talked about before: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. We spoke about the where they go. There we go. Our 6 promotional purposes. All right, and how they do change during the life cycle because it depends on where you're at. Depends on where your product's at in the life cycle and what it's doing, right? And then it's going to inform and help us know how we need to put our message out there and really what message we need to put out there, right? We talked about that there are some things to look at, right? Got to know what the competition's doing. And we talked about maybe you got to know how much money you got. That's a good one. And then we talked about maybe the most important one. You got to know who you're trying to get at, right? Who are you trying to send that message out to? Who are you trying to communicate with? And once you know who you're going to communicate with, then you can start to put together, well, how are you going to communicate to them? Because there's different ways that you can do it. And that's our promotional mix. How are we going to communicate to them? So we talked about advertising. Today we're gonna change gears a little bit. We talked about that there's 5 in the promotional mix: advertising, PR and sponsorship, personal selling, direct marketing, and sales promotion. So we talked about that with advertising. There was our historic back in the day. There was the big 3. It was radio, television, and print. And print for here, what we were talking about was newspaper. And because you got to think that before the internet, that was the main way that the message was going to get out to the people. That's how you communicated with your target market because there really wasn't any other way to do it. And those were the ones that were the primary ones. So we talked about how, and that's being taken over now by electronic telecommunications, and we talk about email and websites and all those other things, social media, and I think that's definitely where advertising is probably shifting towards. We talked about there are some other good things, and we did talk about a lot of bad things about it, and I think the main one that we talked about was the cost, and the one that we can associate the most is the Super Bowl, which just happened, and that is the most expensive time to run a commercial. So it's not always the best thing to do. And the other one that we talked about to some length is that I think a lot of us are just tired of hearing ads and watching ads, whether it's on our Pandora or our other way that we're getting our music or what we're watching. Even on YouTube now, you have ads that you have to watch. So we don't really pay attention while they're on. So there's some other things that you can look at doing, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We said that there was 5. So the one we're going to talk about today is going to be what we call public relations. So marketing communication toward the public, but it's turned more to reputation, image of the company than to its products. So we're more so going to talk about how good we are and how nice of a heart we have. So we're trying to appeal to them maybe a little bit more. Public relations is usually focused on building a favorable image of your business. Exactly. We want people to think of us in a good light. Hey, we're doing something positive here. Usually this is something that you might think of as we're doing something for the community or for the well-being of everybody. You can do this by doing something good for the neighborhood and the community, like holding an open house or being involved in community activities. Exactly what we just talked about. We do this as a school. We have our outreach, the Rebels Outreach, where we go out and do things in the community. So we're trying to build a good reputation and get people to think of us in a good light. The PR activity can be a press conference, TV interview with company representative. Internet marketing, I think, is more coming towards our advertising. Press article about donation of the company to charity or about latest environmental project. So all these things that we're doing good, and we want to make sure that people know that we're doing this great thing, and that we care about the community and the neighborhood. So one of the good things about public relations, it normally carries some essence of believability. Most people perceive publicity as more credible and believable than a paid advertisement. I would say I probably agree with that. When you run an ad, you can make any product claim you want. This is true. We talked about you can make it say whatever you want. Consumers know this about ads, and they often react with skepticism. We don't always believe ads, because they can say whatever they want. Everyone can say they have the best cup of coffee or whatever it may be. But when a company goes out and does something in the public, well, that's going to boost their image. Normally, all right, we hope the event goes well. If it goes well, people normally think of them a lot nicer. Hey, this is a company, we should support them. They did this for the community, blah, blah, blah. I think hopefully we're on that one. The next one is that we talk about a good advantage, employee morale. So if you get your staff involved, your staff may work together to promote your company's charitable activities or host special events and a celebration for the community. So this is a great opportunity to get your employees doing something they feel good about it. The resulting publicity can boost their pride and enthusiasm for their jobs. People enjoy doing things like that. All right. Well, there are some people that enjoy doing community relations and support, and it makes them feel better. All right. And that's, if we're running a company, that's what we want. We want positive employees. I don't think anybody wants any downtrodden employees all the time. You want people that enjoy being there and take pride in their company and in their job. So one of the benefits, again, that we'll talk about, advantages of public relations. If we have our event, it's an opportunity for us to put our brand out there some more, some information about us. And one of those can be educating people to come to our website or our other outlets of social media. And we got to think about things that before the internet, companies had to issue press releases about news designed to try and get newspaper reporters to try and talk about them or try and get someone on TV. So they didn't have that ability to reach out immediately to folks. That connection wasn't there. It was almost like companies had intermediaries that they had to use to get their information out there. Whereas today, a company can compose their own press releases and put them on the website, and they can get it out there to people. So they don't need those intermediaries now because more people have avenues to see what that company is talking about, to see what they're doing, to see news about what's coming out about them. Whereas before, again, that opportunity wasn't there. So that's, again, where technology is starting to take over and change what advertising and promotion once meant. So again, we see here where technology is spilling over into public relations and forming this monster of its own, where we could talk about technology probably for a whole class and how that implies on promotion. But continuing. So, and this is, we got to think about this. What's going to reach more people? All right. And that's the thing that we talk about. And we want to get our promotion out to the most people, and we talk about our target market. So maybe we do just put it on our website. And again, at one point in time, that opportunity wasn't there. So you had to use things like public relations and events to get your information out. So we talk about some negatives of public relations. One of the things is it's not cheap. All right. So we talk about cost. Arranging publicity generally costs less than advertising. It can prove surprisingly expensive. It can. And we talk about where advertising can get really expensive depending on how often you want to repeat your message, because we talk about with television or radio, you have to buy slots. So you may need to hire a public relations firm to develop campaigns, write press releases, and follow up with journalists. Again, if you don't have a company if you don't have someone in your company that does all this, you're going to have someone do it for you. And there's a lot of things you have to have done. You have to write the proper release, follow up with your people, email them. Nowadays, we're probably going to email the journalists, make sure they got it. All those things that you don't want to have to worry about. So you might hire a firm to do this, that people that specialize in this. Again, you're finding an intermediary to help you. So even if you bring these tasks in-house, so if you have people that can do it, the cost of developing publicity items and staging events can stretch your budget and divert workers from their primary responsibilities. This is true unless you have people that's their job, again, to design all these things. We talk about staging an event, and it really is. Maybe you are putting up a stage. Maybe you're going to have it catered and have folks come in. So all these are costs that we don't always look at right away. When we think of, oh, yeah, let's go out and have this event in the community. Well, it's not free either. You're going to have to pay for things, and you have to add those in when we talk about our budget and staying within our constraints. So one of another bad thing about public relations is you don't always control the message that's going to be going out. So when you don't control the message, you don't control the message when you don't pay for it. We talked about advertising. You're paying for that commercial. You can design it. You can make it say what you want. All right. With public relations, you don't always have control. You have control of the event, but after that, you don't have a lot of control about what people are saying about the event. So, and what the purpose was or anything like that. People can write anything nowadays. Information might be improperly reported or key details omitted. So what's worse, publicity can backfire if it downplays the positives and somehow only harps on the negatives. So again, if you have this event and people are writing about it and talking about it, but they're only talking about bad things, well, all that money you just put out there for that public relations event now is down the drain. All right, because you're not getting the results that you wanted. Again, you don't control the message, whereas with advertising, you're limiting that. because you're paying for it, so you control what's going out. While you can invite the media to come to your new product tour, your facility, anything that you do, you can invite media to these events, to your public relations event. There's no guarantee that an article from them is going to follow. They're not guaranteed to write this beautiful, nice article talking about how great your company is, and that's what you're looking for. Reporters don't have to feature you in their publications or on their programs and speak positively about your business. So we can invite the media out, we can invite journalists, and they can come out and we can pay for them to come and they can have a great time and we can wine them and dine them and make them feel great. But because we're looking for a nice article from them, and they know that, and I think that's part of it, and they do too. So, but there's no guarantee we're going to get that. They could write a bad review about us, and that's not going to help our business, and now we've wasted our money. And the last one for today. So we talk about trying to hit our target market. There's no guarantee your public relations event is going to reach your market. So you can do everything right in generating the kind of favorable publicity you seek, but the message may not reach your desired audience. Might not get to the target market. A newscast can run your segment at a time when fewer viewers are watching, or a newspaper can mention your company in a short article buried in a back section that's often discarded. So we talk about advertising, and we want to run our ad on TV. Well, or maybe the journalist from TV did come out. Maybe they did do a segment about us. But if they're sowing it at a time when nobody's really watching, it doesn't really help. And we talk about how people used to read the newspaper, all right? And back in the day, that was what you got. That was what it was based on. It was print. And if you paid the money to go into the newspaper, it wasn't always cheap. So you paid the money to go in there, and they put you in the back section that nobody ever read. So that doesn't really help either, because again, you don't have the money to pay for it. You want that front page spot, but you don't have the money for it, so you're on the back. And people don't really read that far back into the back of the paper. So advantages, disadvantage, public relations.